Hey, everybody. Hey, boy, do we have an update today. Please stay tuned because I get to tell you that my doctor told me I can't run anymore. Okay, so it is week
18.
We have been off for.
Our last run was 4 weeks ago today.
Okay, so if you've been keeping up, here was the.
And, how could you? Because we're not posting videos.
Oh yeah. But I mean, if you saw the last video, so you may recall that I was sent to get X-rays. So I went and got X-rays done, and then we had to wait for the X-ray report.
Readout. Yeah.
And I got a call from my doctor. Now the X-rays done were on both my knees as well as both my hips. So my doctor called, and fantastic doctor. I love my doctor. He called and he started off with, well, the good news is.
That implies there's bad news.
Yeah. So the good news is my hips are perfect. No issues at all. No problems. I'm like, oh, that's great. And the bad news is, according to the report on the X-rays, I have compartment loss in my joints on the inside of both my knees. Now, there was some good news on that front. Any osteoarthritis that may have been present hasn't progressed at all, at least for 2 years. So, we all get arthritis for whatever reasons. That was actually pretty good feedback about my knees in terms of arthritis. But he told me due to the amount of compartment loss in my knees, that's what's causing my constant pain. And his recommendation was that I stop running, period. That was hard to hear. That was really hard to hear. And he understood that because I asked him, when you say stop running, like you mean today?
Yeah.
He said, just no more running. That's a shocker. I was gutted.
It was a rough few days while we were thinking about that, because it's like, oh, okay, no running. Does that mean like eventually no walking, no hiking, no snowshoeing, no all the other things we like doing?
Anything. And now, and as you know, we've signed up for.
We have non-refundable registrations for 3 races.
Expensive registrations. We have the half marathon at Disneyland in just a little over a month. Mm-hmm. And then followed up by the full marathon in El Paso, and then followed up a marathon in Calgary. But before you sign off, and
we were very upset.
Yeah,
and scared.
I mean, that's scary to me, because I'm like, wait a minute, what? He said you should get an appointment with an orthopedic surgeon somewhere in your area, which in our area is over 2 hours away. Actually,
as it turns out, Taos is 45 minutes to an hour away because of Taos Ski Valley. Tons of orthopedics there. Yeah. All of them almost specializing in knees because they deal with skiers all the time.
You're right. I did call them. Their first appointment is late February, but they didn't have a schedule yet. Can't wait till then. So I did we did find somebody highly recommended, a really, really top-notch facility in Santa Fe, New Mexico, which is, again, a little over 2 hours away. And the weather here, we still haven't received the snowfall that we should have received. So good news, we can travel.
It was easy to travel.
So went to Santa Fe. They took more X-rays. This time they took X-rays of my knees under load. So I was lunging, a lot of pain, squatting, a lot of pain, doing all this kind of stuff for the X-rays. And then the orthopedic surgeon visited with me, and he started off with, okay, now what's the problem? And I told him everything that, and I just updated you with. And he said, yeah, okay. And you're in pain? I said, yeah. He goes, give me 1 to 10. And I told him it was probably around a 6 when I was sitting there. He wanted my height and weight. And then he said, okay. He said, and how old are you? And I told him. And he said, your knees look like what I would expect 45-year-old knees to look like.
And just for reference, not to give too much away, he's not 45.
I'm not 45.
So.
And I'm like, okay.
That's good news.
But I'm in a lot of pain and I couldn't run. And my doctor said I can't run or I shouldn't. And he's like, no. You can.
Great news. What do we do instead, Doc?
So now here's the crazy part. Now this guy, he's really well respected in his field, and he laid me down on my back, and he was just torquing my legs all over, and he said, "Okay, does it hurt when I do this?" I'm like, "No." He goes, "What about this?" I'm like, "No." And he was like, doing this and shaking and twisting. I'm like, "No." I said, "Well, I felt a little bit right there." He goes, "Okay." He's like, "Well, you don't have an injury. And if
more good news."
Yeah, and he said, "And if your knees were in really bad shape, you would have screamed in utter pain with the stuff that I was doing. So it's not bad." He said, "By the way, your knees will never need to be replaced." I was like, "Wow, well, that's great news too." So what do I do? And I told him, we have all of these races, and I told him how we train, and I told him all this stuff, and he's like, "Okay, you can do those races, but here's what you're going to have to do."
This is the bonkers part.
Now, if you're a runner, sit down.
This is bonkers.
And I told him,
He's asking us to
we
do
got to
it.
have marathon coming. He goes, "Okay, great. You're going to get your cardio by not running. You're going to swim. You're going to ride a bike. You're going to, if you have to, an elliptical. But that's how you're going to get your cardio. And you're going to do body weight strength training and yoga. And you're going to save your miles."
We're going to run 26 miles.
I was like,
on February 23rd.
What?
By not running until then.
He's like, "You can run the miles,
Okay.
but you have to save them for race day."
It's better than the alternative, which was don't run.
That's true.
So
As a runner, if you are a runner, please leave a comment about what you think about this.
We're going to do our best, and we're going to start
Yeah.
going to the gym every day.
We
and
went today.
We went today. We're going to start using the whatever cardio equipment they have for us there. We're going to start using the pool. We're going to start doing strength training more consistently. But I am
It's
just
crazy.
a little
I'm
concerned
like,
about the prospect of going to run for like 6 hours without that
Running.
kind of like build-up training.
Yeah, right. Now he did say where he did ask, "Where are you running?" And I told him, and he goes, "Okay, well, the elevation here is going to totally help you."
Help,
He's like, "Cardio." He said, when you start feeling better and the pain subsides, which I'll back up. He also said that he believes that the shoes are contributing to my pain. He said when a road runner converts to trail running, almost always they experience a lot of pain and sometimes injury, and vice versa. When a trail runner converts to road running, they experience pain and sometimes injury. He said, you have to try different shoes. He really thinks the terrain here and the kinds of shoes that are necessary for not slipping and whatever are not helping with my pain. So we bought some new shoes, and I'm doing better. I'm actually doing much better. I bought some New Balance, and really, really nice ones that can actually be used on the road as well. So he said, if you start feeling better, you can snowshoe for a little bit. You can cross-country ski for a little bit.
If we ever get snow.
If we get snow. He said because the cardio benefits of those are massive for short workouts. You don't have to do, 20 miles. You do a short workout, he said, just do your cardio other than running. And one thing that was curious to him, which led him to believe in all his testing and feeling my knees and looking at the x-rays, he said, do your knees swell? And I'm like, nope. Are you sure? And I'm like, I haven't seen any swelling. I said, maybe there's been a little swelling. He goes, no. Have your knees gotten to the size of grapefruits? And I'm like, no. He goes, then you're okay. You can do this.
The other thing he said too, so our last long run was 4 weeks ago. We've been taking it pretty easy since then, particularly, doctors saying, whatever, all this throughout the last 4 weeks. We haven't been moving a whole lot.
Right.
And so part of his advice was, well, just make sure you keep your joints lubricated. And I'm like, cool, did he tell you what that means? No. So Dr. Laura over here did some internet research, and basically it's like, movement helps. Staying hydrated helps. Eating fruits and vegetables. Like, well, we got 2 out of those 3 covered. So,
right.
let's look at this movement thing.
Yeah.
And so I think what happened was He got all crunched up because we did a lot of traveling. We were in the car for lots of hours or on airplanes for lots of hours through like 6 weeks from September to November. We were just traveling a lot. And that's kind of when his problem started. And so he got crunched up, I think, from being, in weird seats for too long. And then we didn't help it by resting. We should have like tried to do some stuff besides that run. That run kind of did you in, but we should have we should have kept moving in some way. And I think that'll help work some kinks out.
And the trail shoes that I bought when we first moved here were great in terms of the soles will never wear out no matter what I step on, but they just weren't working for me as a supportive shoe. And these new ones, I'm like 10 inches taller because the sole is like,
sole's a little
massive.
large. Yeah.
But I'm feeling really a ton better, and I'm not in constant pain. So that's been a great thing. So yes, my doctor said no more running, but orthopedic surgeon said go for it.
So he did say what, in a couple weeks, try like half a mile?
Half a mile. If you swell up, call me. If you don't,
which you won't. Swelling is not what you've been doing.
He said then just put that in your, hey, I did it. And then get your cardio other ways. And he told me 3 times, remember, I want you to get your miles in on race day. And I'm like, okay, that's hard. That's hard, right?
Yeah.
Runners, that's hard.
So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
What we're going to do, the one thing that's putting my mind at ease a little bit is that if you followed our adventures last year, we moved to this new place, this new climate, and running was really difficult for us to figure out how to do while we were training for a couple of half marathons last January.
Oh, yeah.
So it just kind of worked out that by the time race day came, we really hadn't gone running in many weeks, just because of, and we certainly hadn't done longer distances. Yeah. If we did run, it was on the treadmill, Yeah. So we did other stuff like snowshoeing and cross-country skiing and things like that. And largely, I think, because we kept doing something for our cardiovascular system, but also because we live at 8,500 feet of elevation, the races were not terrible. Like, our bodies could process the oxygen a lot better.
It was actually kind of amazing how good we felt.
So I think we'll be okay for the half marathon following Doc's plan. I am slightly more concerned about the full marathon later that month. So I think we're going to do the half.
And see what happens.
See how we feel. The thing is, the half is also at sea level. The full marathon is at like 4,000 feet of elevation. So much lower than we are, but not at sea level. Yeah. So it will maybe not carry us as far, just the elevation training. But we're just, I don't know. We're going to hope for the best. And then hopefully by that point, maybe your knees don't hurt anymore and we can actually like train some leading up to Calgary. Yeah. Because we have a lot of time between the El Paso marathon and the Calgary marathon. We have a few months.
So it's been a crazy couple of weeks.
We're updating our training chart. Yeah. Before we had a run column and a don't run column because we really planned on running 3 times a week for this thing. We were
doing great.
And then, doing 4 days a week of other stuff. Yeah. Well, now it's don't run and don't run. I think I'm only going to do it on the left-hand side of the chart.
Doctor's orders.
I don't know. It's so.
He seemed pretty confident.
Like, dude, have you ever run 26 miles? Do you really? Whatever. The good news too for us, I think, is that we have completed a full marathon before. We don't have that like anxiety of your first time. Right. Like, I don't think I can do this. Right. So we know, technically speaking, we can do it. There is still that concern that the 2 races we signed up for this year have much more aggressive time limits than the races we've done in the past. Yeah. We're just going to hope for our 30-second intervals to carry us through, and we'll be okay.
So
if we get swept, we get swept.
Leave us some comments and let us know what you think, because this is, it was terrible news, and I was just like down in the dumps. I could not believe it. And then it turned into good news, but weird. So
a little weird.
We're excited, and so there's your update.
40-something days until the Disneyland have 42 until we leave. Man. So
we're gonna be there.
41 until we leave.
We'll be
there. And that's what we were saying too. Like in that in-between period where you were told not to run and we hadn't gone to the orthopedic yet, I was like, you know what? It's gonna be okay. Yeah. We'll still take the trips. Right. We'll cheer on the runners at every race if we don't get to run it.
Hope to see our friends there, make new friends.
It'll be okay.
Yeah. But we're going to run.
We're going to run.
On that day. but not anytime between now and that day.
Maybe a half a mile before then. Jesus.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, this is the weirdest thing. This dude is definitely not a runner to tell us to do that,
but he treats a lot of runners.
he treats a lot of skiers.
Yeah. So that's our update. Seriously, if you haven't, please like this video, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell, because man, we're going to keep posting, and you'll see our updated
So
exercises.
that's our commitment to us and you. We're going to get into the swing of going to the gym every day this week, or most days.
Most days.
We're going to get a sticker every day, but it may or may not be in the gym. So we're going to do that this week because it's a good time. I'm off work. We've got some little downtime, so we can get into the habit of going to the gym at, say, 9 o'clock every day, so that the next week when work is back on, we're maybe in that habit. So next week, we will post a video.
We will.
Telling you about all of our days at the gym.
And we also want to say happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and just joy to all of you in whatever way you celebrate. We really appreciate you watching, staying in touch, and just making this a wild adventure, because it is always an adventure with you. We will see you soon.